I want to talk about a particular kind of exhaustion I think you know all too well. It's the feeling that comes from doing nothing physically visibly strenuous. You sit at a desk all day, no heavy lifting, no long commute, no physical strain. And yet, by the evening, your shoulders are aching and your jaw's tight and your brain feels like you're totally in a fog. You close your laptop or you turn off your computer, you stretch, and realize that your body feels like it's run a marathon, right? Even though you probably never left your chair. That's the paradox of modern fatigue. We are physically still most of the time, but physiologically overstimulated. The reason why is simple. Our nervous systems weren't designed to process a constant stream of digital information. They were designed to read the wind, to listen for footsteps, to rest when the sun goes down. But today, we live in a world where the sun never sets on the screen, right? And while our minds scroll endlessly forward, our bodies are quietly asking for something very, very simple. Remember me. So picture this. It's Thursday afternoon. You've been in back-to-back video meetings since 9 a.m. Your eyes feel grainy and heavy, and your posture is collapsed into the shape of your chair, right? You've probably barely moved except to refill your coffee, and yet you're completely spent. You tell yourself, oh, look, I'm just going to power through one more email or one more slide deck. And then when you finally stand up, your neck cracks, your heart's racing, and you feel strangely disconnected from the world outside your window, right? But then, instinctively, you stretch. You walk to the kitchen. You open the door. You step into the sunlight, and you take a deep breath. Within seconds, your shoulders drop, and your jaw loosens, and your energy shifts. It's almost embarrassing how simple the fix feels, right? But it's not coincidence. It's biology. Because your body never stopped working today, it's been holding your posture. It's been regulating your vision. It's been managing stress hormones and buffering sensory inputs for hours and hours. That's why even sitting still all day long can leave you feeling just totally wrung out. The brain has burned through glucose. The muscles have gone static, and your vagus nerve, which is your built-in regulator for calm, has been stuck on standby all day. So digital fatigue isn't a weakness. It's your nervous system signaling that it's time to come home to your senses. Here's what's really happening inside the body. Each notification you receive, each quick time that you move between tasks, each time like blue light activates your sympathetic nervous system, that's a stress response in your body. It releases cortisol and adrenaline, which is preparing you to act and to move, to survive. Except you don't move, so that chemistry builds without release. Your body is ready to run, but your chair is keeping you still. And so that mismatch between biological readiness and physical immobility creates tension, literally stored electricity in the muscles. Over time, it leads to what neurosciences call sensory mismatch fatigue. I'll say it again. That's sensory mismatch fatigue, a condition where your brain processes more stimuli than the body can physically express. It's why you feel both wired and tired. You feel overstimulated and numb at the same time. This is why movement and breath can change everything in a matter of minutes. When you stand up and stretch and walk or exhale deeply, you send a signal through the vagus nerve, that long nerve that connects your brain to your heart and your lungs and your gut. You send that signal, it says, we're safe. You can relax now. Your heart rate lowers. Your digestion restarts. Your attention stabilizes. And here's the thing. This isn't new age thinking. This isn't crazy stuff. This is neurobiology, right? We can track this. There's data here. You've probably heard the phrase gut feeling, and it's more than a metaphor. The enteric nervous system, it's often called the second brain, contains over 100 million neurons, communicating constantly with the brain through the vagus pathway. So when you're anxious or overworked, the gut tightens. When you move and breathe, it relaxes and restores. The body stores memory in the fascia, the muscle, and the cellular patterning. So when we spend too long disconnected from physical sensation, that memory dulls. We forget the language of our own signals, and that's when digital fatigue becomes existential fatigue, right? We don't just lose energy, we lose embodiment. We drift into what psychologists call disembodied attention, awareness that exists only in the head. Our sensory field narrows. We stop tasting and smelling and feeling and touching and noticing. Life becomes pixels instead of presence. Now, the good news is that the remedy is profoundly simple. I call these sensory rituals. They're small acts that can restore coherence between your digital life and your physical one. So here are a few that you could do right now today. First is a 60-second reset. Once every hour, step away from your screen completely and move your body through 3 planes, forward and backwards, side to side, and then twisting. This actually reactivates the body's awareness of space and releases stored tension. Your brain chemistry shifts almost instantly. The second one you can do is what I call the breathing boundary. Before and after digital work, take 5 deliberate breaths where the exhale is longer than the inhale. That activates your parasympathetic system and that it resets your attention span. And then the final one is the cold water cue. Splash cold water on your face. It triggers the dive reflex, which stimulates the vagus nerve and lowers stress hormones. It's like pressing the, Control-Alt-Delete on your physiology. Fourth, try the touch anchor. Touch something natural, wood, fabric, your own skin. Tactile input grounds the brain's sensory map and reminds your nervous system that you exist in 3 dimensions, not 2. None of these are complex, right? But in a world of cognitive overload, simplicity is revolutionary. Sometimes we forget that we're animals, right? We're intelligent, emotional, creative animals. And yes, but still we're creatures whose systems evolved for rhythm, not consistency. So we need contrast. We need effort and ease. We need light and dark. We need connection and rest. The body doesn't need perfection. It needs oscillation. Digital life flattens that curve. It keeps us in perpetual on mode, always stimulated and never satisfied. But the body remembers a different cadence. It remembers the wind, and it remembers your heartbeat, and it remembers the pattern of a day that turns into night, and is waiting patiently for you to return to that. Inside the impossible prompt, we use this understanding of the body as data. During the calibration process, our tools and our protocol reflect your emotional and linguistic rhythms back to you. How you talk about time, urgency, rest, what you're focusing on. Many people are shocked to see how often they described stress as identity. Like, I'm busy, I'm behind, I'm tired, I'm overwhelmed. By seeing those patterns objectively, you begin to separate from them. And then the protocol introduces small, personalized sensory practices, like breathing sequences, posture cues, micro rituals. These are somatic things, right? That restore your nervous system. It restores your nervous system's natural oscillation between activity and rest. The goal isn't to disconnect you from technology. It's to resensitize the system that technology numbs. Because when your body feels safe and awake again, creativity, focus, and joy return naturally. You don't need to force productivity. You generate it from coherence. From a physiological standpoint, movement integrates fragmented neural activity. And if you think about that, static focus concentrates blood flow in the prefrontal cortex, but gentle movement redistributes it across sensory and other motor regions, balancing cognition and emotion. This is why walking meetings or standing breaks or even brief stretching sequences improve problem solving and your mood. In neuroscience, this is called embodied cognition. It's the idea that thought doesn't happen just in the brain, but across the entire body. And I know that sounds weird if you've never thought about that before, but we've got the science to prove it, right? Your posture, your breath, and your sensory input literally shape how you think. So when you take that 5-minute break to walk and breathe or look at something real in the real world, you're not stepping away from work. You're actually stepping back into your intelligence to do your work better. Our devices remember everything. We've got files, we've got photos, we've got passwords, we've got versions of us that we've already outgrown. But the body remembers what it means to be alive. It remembers balance and breath, eye contact and sunlight. It remembers that calm is not absence of motion, but harmony of rhythm. Each time you stand up, you stretch, or simply breathe deeply, You are reminding your nervous system that you belong to a living world, not a virtual one. And in that memory of rhythm, of grounding, of coherence, in that is the foundation of every other transformation. Because when your body feels safe and awake, your mind becomes clear, your emotions settle, and your spirit begins to lead again. So if this message resonates with you, if what I've talked about helps, it says, yes, I get that. If you're ready to stop feeling digitally drained and start living from embodied clarity, then I invite you to take next step with me. Request your private invitation to the impossible prompt. It's not about rejecting technology, right? Our protocol is about remembering how to inhabit your body while you use technology. Because when you come home to your senses, you don't just heal digital fatigue, you awaken your aliveness.